Hello and welcome to my channel. For those of you who watched my other videos that I featured, you would have seen that I mostly place POV driving style videos, but upon popular request in the comment section, I actually decided to start talking about what my experience is with the cars that I own. And the first one that I want to talk about is actually my Cupra Formentor VZ5 that I've owned for the better part of the year, and I've also placed over 10,000 kilometers on the clock. So I can safely say I can do an owner's review right now and tell you what I like, what I don't like, what I think it's great, what I think could be improved, what were my problems, what were the quirks, what mods I did to the car, and just what was it like as a daily driver. Okay, so this car is a Cupra Formentor VZ5. It's part of the last edition. It's called the Century Bronze Matte, and it was actually built in a limited series of 222 units. The whole VZ5 lineup, ever since they produced it, was actually built in a total of 7,000 units and split between multiple variants such as the Taiga Grey, the Petrol Blue variant, the Magnetic Tech Grey, the Bat Edition, and this last edition, which was actually a 222 unit rundown of Century Bronze finish and a 222 unit of Enceladus Grey. All right, this car features Audi's very famous 5-cylinder 2.5 liter TSI engine. It features 390 horsepower, it has 480 Newton meters torque, and it's coupled to a 7-speed DSG DQ500 transmission and also the torque splitting rear differential. The visual difference between the VZ5 and the normal VZ, in the rear you could see there's a carbon fiber rear diffuser. There are also diagonal placed exhaust tips which are finished in a bronze nuance. It also has bigger wheels as it's 20 inches standard, which on the VZ are not standard, and it has carbon fiber on the rear view mirrors and carbon fiber on the lower part of the front bumper. The car is also 20 millimeters wider than the normal Cupra Formentor VZ, as this one is 1852 millimeters, so it has a slightly wider arches. And it also has a lower ground clearance, as this car only has 140 millimeters height. Okay, so what I particularly love about the exterior of the car is, first of all, the bronze matte finish. I think it's a shape-shifting color which looks towards a lighter brown in the light, but as you move to the shadowy parts of the car, you can see that it's more of a dark copper accent. So I really like this exterior feature of the car, and I think it's very well complemented with the copper accents on the wheels. While the color looks so apart and so special, and while I really love it, it's a bit difficult to maintain and look after, as once you scratch this paint, it's a very difficult process to get it repainted. For instance, if you would have a scratch on the side of the car somewhere around the door area, the repair procedure is actually repainting the entire side of the car. Yeah. On the other hand, it's a lot easier to wash it, as when you dry the car, it's a lot more difficult to put swirl marks on the finish. The matte coating offers protection as opposed to the glossy part, but cannot buff out light scratches. You cannot buff out light dents. So the best thing you should do when you're getting a matte car is actually trying to wrap it in clear PPF. Now, the PPF wrapping is also a bit more difficult than you would on a normal glossy car, because the PPF does not adhere as easily on the surface as it would on a clear coat. That's why I actually took the decision of not PPFing the car, but protecting it with a 3-layer special ceramic coat. I tried to look after the car as much as possible. I tried to park it in spaces I have enough room sideways so the car wouldn't have any dents from other people hitting the car with their doors. I don't drive very closely to other traffic participants, so I would not get any stone chips on the front of the car, And so far, for more than 1 year, I did not experience any chips, any dents. The car is in perfect condition. So I try to keep it that way, but it's also a stress factor for those looking into buying a matte finished car. One thing to look at. Another vulnerable point of this car is the windshield, and this is a common thing for the later VAG products, as the windshield gets chipped very easily. I actually had to change my windshield once because of a rock hitting it. So yes, this is another thing that you have to look after. Part of the things that I love about the car are the headlight units. These are fully matrix LED lights. They have great performance. They also are very responsive to incoming traffic whenever the high beam assist is on. I also love the Akebono brakes, which are actually a 6-piston caliper and feature a 375mm disc. All in all, living with this car was a very pleasant experience. I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best daily drivers you could buy. Cupra usually offers large discounts for brand new cars, which make them very competitive. So moving on with the interior features, I will start off showing you the boot size. 420 liters boot space, which is larger than the normal hatchback, but it's slightly smaller than the medium SUV class standard. But it's enough to get around, and it's enough for a family, a small family. The car's rear interior is also quite spacious. You have enough headroom, you have enough knee room, and the knee room is actually complemented by having this carbon fiber bucket seats in the front. So you even have enough space for your knees, even if you're an adult. You also have 2 AC vents in the rear. It also has 2 USB Type-C ports, and all in all, the rear seat is very comfortable. From a driver's perspective, as I said, you have this very nice Cupra cup bucket carbon fiber seats, which hug you really well, and they're very supportive when driving more enthusiastically, let's say. They're also very comfortable when taking longer trips, so I didn't really find them to be a compromise between comfort and support for sportier driving, as these seats offer best of both worlds. Okay, so from an interior perspective, you get this very nice steering wheel, which is Audi inspired, with the start engine stop button and the driving mode selector directly on the steering wheel. You also have clickable buttons, which is also nice. Other than that, I really dislike the fact that you don't have any analog controls for the climate, for volume and music selection. You do get this 12-inch infotainment screen, which has quite nice resolution. You also have this 10-inch digital cockpit display. While the screen itself is large, the user experience is not that intuitive. You need to use it quite extensively to create a muscle memory. While you have this capacitive climate controls below the screen, they're not lit during the night, so it makes it quite difficult operating it during nighttime. If you drive the car long enough, you might start remembering where the buttons are placed, even if you don't see them, but I don't find that it's quite safe to operate them. Other than that, the digital cockpit is actually very nice. It has great resolution. You can change the views in between multiple layouts, and you can personalize them as you wish. I find that it's one of the better digital displays you find on the market. I think this cabin is quite a nice place to be in. The materials are actually quite nice. The build quality is maybe a bit worse than its counterparts, if you look at the premium segment in the market. But I am overall very pleased. I didn't have any rattles, I didn't have build quality issues so far, and hopefully they won't appear down the line. The reason this car is a bit heavier is because it has a panoramic sunroof which extends all the way to the back. This is a very nice feature to have in a daily, and while it adds a couple of kilos, I wouldn't have it any other way. Okay, so what is this car like from behind the steering wheel? Well, first of all, the car has multiple driving modes. Right now we're in comfort mode, and being in comfort mode, the car is actually quite well suited for everyday driving. It filters out the bumps very well. It has adaptive suspension. It also isn't excessively loud inside. It's actually a very nice cruiser. So this car has like a bipolar personality, in which you can have it as a very normal driving car, but it can also change very quickly if you put it into Cupra mode. Into Cupra mode, you can hear the engine being louder, the exhaust flaps open up, and the car completely changes. The suspension stiffens up, you can feel the torque splitter behind you working to help you spring out of from apexes. So the car is very nice to drive in a sporty manner as well. Reliability wise, the car has been perfect. I have had zero issues with it. I read that many other people had all sort of uncomfortable stuff going on with the infotainment glitching, with the headlight units not working. This has not been the case for me. I don't know if it's because the car has been updated for the 2024 model year, but I have not experienced anything negative about it. Now, from a running costs perspective, I had already had my first service right at around 5,000 kilometers. I changed the oil and filters for this car as a break-in first service, let's say. Some other costs included purchasing a second winter tire set along with the rims. This was a bit more expensive than on normal car, of course, because the car has 20-inch wheels and quite wide tires. But other than that, I have had no other unforeseen costs with this car. Of course, apart from having it detailed with a 3-layer ceramic coating. So I would say it's not as expensive to run. It is also quite reliable. So I would add this positive aspects to calling it a perfect daily driver. When it comes to dislikes, I have to mention the safety systems. The car is a bit too paranoid when it comes to its active city stop. When driving it a bit faster, even when going on track, it takes a while until all the systems turn off. So while they're active, it's really difficult to drive it fast, as the car has the tendency to put safety first and stop you when it's not the case. So that's something that could be improved, but I believe this is the norm, the current standard, so yeah. Another thing I quite dislike is actually the manual mode when the car is in its normal driving mode, as when you use the paddle shifters to place the car into manual mode, it's going to stay in manual mode for a while, but then after a couple of seconds the car has the tendency to go back in driving mode by itself, as you have seen just right now. This is quite annoying when you are driving on normal public roads and try to overtake someone. The only way to keep the car in its manual mode is actually put it in sport first and then activate manual mode. This is annoying to have to work with. Onto the things I particularly love about this car is actually the way it handles, the way it drives, the way it stays on road. The chassis is very well balanced. I love how the manual shifting response is quite instantaneous, and mostly love the engine. It has this old school characteristic to it. So looking at the driver characteristics, the sportiness, the practicability, the very nice place to be in, the awesome looks, in my opinion, this car is the best daily driver. It's also quite reasonably priced compared to the competitors, and for someone looking on owning a single car that tries to do it all, I think the VZ5 is the answer. That's it. I hope you liked my video. I plan on doing more video reviews for the other cars that I own as well, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.